Have you ever just stopped and wondered, is there a different way to live? A more connected way? Well, today we're going to explore a really powerful vision for community, and it's all based on this idea called imagining kingdom life on Earth. Let's dive right in.
You know, it really all starts with a question I bet every single one of us has asked at some point. What is this all for? What are we actually doing here? Are we just supposed to get an education, make some money, have a family, and then it's over? These are the big, deep questions that really set the stage for everything we're talking about today.
So, the text we're looking at, it doesn't just leave us hanging with the questions. Nope, it actually proposes an answer. It paints this incredible picture of a life that's way more meaningful, way more connected, and it's all built around a very specific set of ideas.
So, what's this new blueprint all about? What's it built on? Well, it really boils down to one single core idea. And it's an idea that pretty much challenges everything we think we know about society and how we live together. Not someday in the future, but right here, right now. Okay, so at the heart of it all is this concept, kingdom life. And the big idea here is that it's all about seeking and building the kingdom of God. Not as some distant thing we wait for after we die, but as something real, something tangible, in our lives, in our communities, right now, on this earth.
Now, the entire foundation for this whole way of life rests on this one single, really radical rule you see here. No man is allowed to lord and rule over other men. Just let that sink in for a second. That changes everything. Instead of the usual top-down pyramid, you have a system where each man is seen as king over his own household, with only Christ above him. It's a massive departure from pretty much every social structure we're used to.
Okay, so that's the principle, right? But what does it actually look like, day to day? How does a community like this even work? Well, it turns out it all comes down to a pretty simple, practical weekly rhythm. And this weekly rhythm is, surprisingly simple. It kicks off with the men, who are the elders of their families, just getting together in small groups. And their purpose isn't to rule, not at all, but to serve and figure out what the needs are in the community. Then, each group picks a facilitator. And get this, they're not a leader, they're a connector who networks with the other groups. This just creates this amazing web of real, hands-on support. It's not some stuffy social club, it's about being deeply involved in each other's lives. And that spirit, it just naturally flows out to the women and children, creating this incredible foundation for real, deep community bonds.
So, right about now, you're probably thinking, whoa, this sounds huge, maybe a little complicated. Where on earth would I even start? And the source material actually has a really great, straightforward answer for that.
The absolute crucial piece of advice here is to forget that pressure to think big. The goal isn't to build some massive, complicated organization from the ground up. It's about living simple lives, having simple get-togethers, and just keeping the stress and the burden to an absolute minimum. It's an invitation to add this beautiful layer of intentional community to the life you're already living.
Now, what about the biggest roadblock? That feeling of, I'm totally alone in this, nobody around me thinks this way. The text hits this head-on and offers a really modern solution. Be the pioneer. Use the tools we have right at our fingertips, the internet, social media, to find and connect with other people who are on the same page.
And here's something really encouraging. You do not need to have the entire roadmap figured out. The idea is that this is a God-driven path, not some man-made project. Your only job is to do the next right thing that's in front of you and trust that the rest of the path will be revealed when it's supposed to be. It's really all about faith in the process itself.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the how, but what about the why? I mean, what are the actual real-world rewards for living this way? The source material lays out some seriously compelling benefits.
And the rewards are both super practical and really profound. I mean, just imagine it. Collective gardening projects, people helping each other launch new businesses, a built-in network for all your creative talents. Big community projects could just bloom out of nowhere. And on a deeper level, you'd be building these incredibly strong relationships, and you'd have the security of knowing that there is literally an army of people who have your back when things get tough. It's about showing your faith through action, just letting the strength of the community speak for itself. So all of this might still sound like a beautiful, maybe even far-off idea, but I gotta tell you, the single most important piece of info from this whole text is coming up right now.
So get this, the absolute best news, according to the text, is that this is not just an idea. This network, it already exists. You don't have to build it from scratch. You just have to find it and join it.
And the text lays out the exact first steps for you. First, you're going to want to go to preparingyou.com. Once you're on the site, just click on Join the Network, and that'll help you find the contact person in your area. The advice is to really do your homework, ask a ton of questions, get a feel for things, and then, if it feels right, if it lines up with your vision, then you can join and become a real part of the community. It's all laid out as a clear path to get connected.
So, let's end with a question just for you. If any part of this vision, this idea of a simpler, more connected community, if any of that resonates with you, what's the one, first, simple step you could take, maybe even today, to start exploring it a little more?
We really hope this deep dive was valuable for you. If you found it interesting, could you do us a huge favor? Take a second to like this explainer, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and maybe share it with someone you know who's asking these same kinds of big questions. And of course, we'd absolutely love to read your thoughts down in the comments.
And finally, just one last reminder, if you actually want to connect with the community we've been talking about, you can join the Living Network. All you have to do is visit preparingyou.com. And don't worry, the link is right there for you in the description below. Thanks so much for watching.